Some Grundig mini cassette goodness. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Beatbyte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Grundig Stenorette 2050 from about 1977. And this is Grundig's version of the mini cassette dictaphone, dictation portable machine. They also did desktop ones, I believe, and machines so you could transcribe and whatever. But it's actually really cool. Really like it, to be honest. I'm sort of a bit of a fan of Grundig stuff, the original Grundig stuff anyway. There's a cassette, which is gorgeous, really. You can see it's got a time indication gauge there. You can just make out the helix screw that drives that. The window there. Yeah, very, very cool. It's 30 minutes tape. And the reels, they have like little spikes, metal spikes by the feels of it. That locate into the spools of the cassette, and I think that's quite a mucky head actually, so we'll need to give that a clean. Pinch rod capstan. Could argue it's quite a simple thing in many other ways. It's actually really quite a neat, well thought out system. On the side we've got a lock to lock the tape transport controls. Pull that back. Then we've got a wind forward. Doesn't lock and doesn't always work. And rewind, and then you put it, let go, and it goes to play. And then stop, and then you've got the record there. So like so. I don't know how you disengage that actually. On the top you've got an index button, so I'll have a look at that, see how that works. Now this is sent to me from George. Hi George. And he actually runs a media duplication company, and basically he does all sorts of formats, both audio and visual. And his website is www.transferaudio.co.uk. So he does mini discs, vinyl, things like these dictation formats. Also does video, V2000, Betamax, VHS, of course, everything. But yeah, do go and have a look at his site. Yeah, thank you very much, George. Thank you very much for sending this to me. So basically what he wants me to do is he wants to output the audio from this socket to basically just have some sort of output that you can plug into something else to capture the audio. Now you can see it's got recording there at the top of your picture, and then it's got headphones at the bottom here, and we've got the power in here. Now, looking at the schematic, and you can get the schematic from radiomuseum.org, and I mean it's just a sheet of paper. That's all there is to it. You can actually see the socket here and how it works. So the first two are the output, so mono output, of course, and then this third one is what cuts the speaker off if you want to. So I'm actually sort of numbering this the wrong way around. So pin 1 turns the speaker on and off when a pin is pushed in there, and then 2 and 3 are the mono outputs. So the original idea was to sort of rip this out and basically hardwire a cable to it, but what I'm thinking of doing is making a plug that can plug in there, probably using test point metal poles then off video recorder PCBs, scrap ones, to go into these slots. That's the idea, because they'll be strong enough, should make good contact, and probably mount them on Vero, because the Vero actually does match the pitch of the socket, and not too sure how I'm going to do that yet. I don't know whether to just take a line of 3, just cut that out, put the pins in, solder the pins on, then on the top solder on the cable to it and heat shrink the lot. Be a bit bodgy, but it will do the job and should be reliable as well. If all goes to plan, maybe a bit of hot glue as well, just to give it a bit more mechanical strength and something to grab onto to put it in and out. But it does need a service, and like I say, this should be popping out and it's not. So let's can't remember how this actually opens. Like that, that's how it opens. There we go. Pull the batteries. So there it is in the back. Not quite sure what's going on there. That must be something to do with telling it that batteries are in it, maybe? Not sure. Well, we'll investigate that. So, yeah, there we go. That's the inside of it. A little bit of battery leakage at some points. So I might put some vinegar on that just to neutralise it, but it doesn't look too bad. So, taking it apart, I have no idea, but I do spot a screw there. So let's grab a screwdriver. What does that enable us to do? Not much. Oh, this popped up. Yeah, that belt has well and truly had it. Okay. Yeah, so that's really struggling. Oh, there we go. Well, why wasn't it doing that? Now, because I tried that, and it just would not pop out. So you can't go forward, but going back. Yeah, so you can go back and review it. That makes sense. So, yeah, that's how the repair look. You can make that out. So I'm just put a thin bit of copper over to there. That track's broken at some point. That's interesting. So, okay, so a couple of days on, and I have a belt. It is actually quite a bit thinner, but it's also a little bit smaller. So I'm hoping that'll do the trick. Now, I did go through my belt collection, and I found this belt, which is pretty okay. It's the only one I could find online that I just have a feeling this might be too thin. Oops. but we'll see. I think this is going to be too thin. It's not going to be enough to reliably pull the cassette, the tape. Well, it works. How long it will last? I mean, it's a DeckTech belt. It does actually say that it's not quite to the same quality as their other sort of specific belts, but it will work, I think. Certainly doing much better than the other belt, and obviously the old belts had it. Now this cassette, this is I say a sacrificial cassette. There's very little on it. It is literally, George has included it just for, oh well that's working, just for testing purposes. So let's just try it. Well, it's certainly sounding much better. Yeah, there's still, I did find that you'd sometimes go into rewind and it wouldn't. And I think it's literally that switch. I mean, hopefully with use. Okay, so let's try it recording. 1 2 1 2 testing 1 2 1 2. How many technicians does it take to change a light bulb? 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay. So there we go.
One two one two testing 1 2 1 2. How many technicians does it take to change a light bulb? 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Okay, so it's a bit fluttery. And that's something else that it shouldn't be doing. When I'm going into stop, it's not stopping. Yeah, so that switch is still a bit dodgy. Okay. Gosh, is this not held in with anything? It's not. Really? That explains why the switch... Oh gosh, all falling apart. Okay. So that looks like a spring. Get it with my broken tweezers. So these will go in here. Then there's another switch down here. And then it plugs in. That's actually really clever. That is really super clever. So no wonder it's sort of a bit interesting. Look at that mechanism, it's amazing. I don't want to take that apart, I don't think. So I can see 1,000,001 problems happening there. Okay, so that little bit of metal, I have no idea where that's from. It's not actually from the switch. The switch just literally is 2 metal contacts each side, and it locks in at the top here and slides down. This is the record switch. You can line that up by sort of imagining it like so. So this gap here needs to be roughly aligned to that there when you're doing it sort of this way round. So when you push it over, it's somewhere near. This one, it's a pain in the neck actually, because it keeps sliding by itself down here, and then the contact pops out. It doesn't drop off, thankfully, but it's still a bit of a pain. So with the board going down there, I've just lost something. Oh, it's just fallen out again. It locks onto that. So I need to get this back on. This really does come out ever so easily. So just make sure those, because they're just resting in there, the contacts. So just pop that in. And making sure the contacts don't slide out, just push it up, slide it back down. That locates, I think, in the bottom hole with this black bit here. So that could be why things were going a bit wrong, because it doesn't take much for that to actually slip out. So just working that out. That's the microphone that goes in there. So it needs to be roughly there. So let's just try and get this on now. I think we've got everything lined up. Soon find out, no doubt. Volume control, which I've displaced. We're done with that. I did it a second ago. That's that bit of trim. There. There's a bit involved getting it back together, to be fair, because you have to be in several places at once and press it all together and hope everything sort of lands. So you can see there the white switch, that's actually going to locate fine. I assume the record one's going to locate okay. That feels as if that's going to go okay. Okay, I'm going to put this back together. If it's fluttery, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I will have a word with George to see if that is going to be a major issue for him, because ultimately it's up to him. If he just wants to get the tape recordings off, because at the end of the day, this is a dictaphone, so it's never going to be great. But personally, I would strip it down. If it was mine, I would strip it down and take the risk. But it isn't, so it may well just be get the audio off as best you can. And it looks like it goes on in a slightly odd way. There we go. So that's the way you do it. Hooks in the top, goes down at the bottom. There's a single screw that holds it in. Actually quite a nice design. So I haven't cleaned this yet, so let's just do that. I just wonder where that spring's from. I don't know where it's vanished now anyway. It sort of pinged off. I thought it was something to do with that switch and for the different modes, but it isn't at all. It's just random. It's just like floating around in there. Okay, so let's give this a clean. I was saying it looks awful, but to be fair, I think it's the composition of the head itself. Oh, there's muck on there. It is a bit of a strange one, this, because it's just like I say, if it was mine and I was wanting to archive my own tapes, I'd want to strip it apart. But like I say, it's just what do I want to do? Because I could end up getting myself in a whole heap of other trouble trying to sort it out. Oh, I've done that totally wrong. Look, the LED's not even there. Okay, so a different day. I'm not so tired. Yeah, I was battling with it last night, and yeah, I should have really have given up. It's like flogging a dead horse sort of thing. But yeah, for the flutter, I just don't know quite what's going on, because it's driving really well. I'll put it into play, which I can't do because I've got the cassette out. But the real drives, and it feels really smooth, so I don't know what's going on. Whether I've got a problem with the motor, possibly. But yeah, my main problem with it intermittently being dead is this switch, and that little bit of metal that I've now lost, it went flying off last night, and I don't know where it's gone. Basically, I think there's two of them. They need to be isolated from each other. So there's one in this side, one in that side, and it pushes the contacts out. So at the moment, the contacts are like completely flush. But if I put it in with slightly not flush, then it'll work for a while until they sort of bed in. So my feeling is now is to try and devise some crafty method of springing that, and yeah, doing away with the metal springs, because it's almost impossible to get this thing back in with the springs in as well. Well, it probably will be, because it's going to keep pushing the contacts out, because nothing holds them in other than you pressing as you push it in into that, which I suppose I could do. Yeah, maybe I'm making a bit of a drama out of that. The other thing that's interesting is these contacts here. Now, these contacts are actually, they come through the into the cassette compartment, and they make contact with these two here, and you'll notice there's actually another contact here as well. Now, there's nothing in this machine for making that contact, but these two here, I thought, oh, is it where it detects when there's a cassette in? Yes and no. If I put a meter across these, I get nothing. I get no continuity or anything. I mean, probably if I went to a high range, I would. But yeah, I'm intrigued to find out what that's all about. If we can see anything going on inside. Not really. Well, one looks like it goes towards the spool. But yeah, a bit intrigued by that. To see how that does actually work. I might end up taking this cassette apart. So yeah, so my big issue now is to get this sprung, and then get it back together, and then try and investigate what's going on with this flutter, because like I say, I mean, it seems so good, and changing the belt made absolutely no difference, because the old belt, it was all fluttery. The other slight problem I've got as well, which I don't think I've mentioned yet, when I first had this and I tried it with the cassette that came with it, there was audio on the cassette, and I sort of wound it through to the end, and then sort of picked up bits of audio and some quite fun audio on there. And then I rewound it, and it seemed to wipe everything off. And I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to do that. Not straight out anyway. I mean, well, I was going to say if you pressed record and then rewind, but it doesn't let you do that anyway. So I don't know what happened there, and I wonder if it is to do with this switch, because only one bit of metal fell out, and like I say, I'm thinking there's a spring on one side and then the other side, and I wonder if one is missing and whether that would do it. Seems a bit vague, really. I can't see why it would necessarily do that, but yeah, I'm sort of a bit stumped as to why it actually erased the cassette. So I'm going to have to do a lot of testing to really get to the bottom of that and make sure that it's not going to wipe the cassettes that George is going to archive, because he might play them through to check them and, you know, wind through it, check what needs to be done, rewind it and find it's all gone. And that would be bad. That would be really bad. So, yeah, let's crack on with trying to find a spring replacement. Okay, so a couple of weeks on now, and I'm still a little bit perplexed by what's going on with this switch. I think with this switch fixed, it'll at least work. I mean, I think we're still going to have motor issues. I think it is sort of warbly. I don't know whether that's a motor issue or what drives this. But I have bought another one, and with a few cassettes as well. And this one is really, really tatty. It didn't cost me too much at all. I think it was about £15. Bought off eBay. Now, it was sold as working, but you will soon find out it's not sounding too clever. Had batteries in it, and what was funny is that the parcel actually was making this noise, because at some point in the parcel's journey this had got knocked and had turned it on. I can turn it up, so it does work, and you do get audio through it, but I've got this constant buzz. I think what I'm going to do is take this apart to see what makes that switch work, and I might even just swap over the part for now, just to get that one working and confirm that's all it was, because this is actually really good. It's almost like it's motor noise, but yeah, so let's do that. Okay, so the battery connector off. These are the batteries that came with George's Grundig, and the batteries that were in it weren't that clever. I don't think there's anything wrong with this battery. I think it's just transfer from the actual contacts. I don't know whether somebody's tried to have a go at cleaning them, but anyway, that hasn't gone well. It should spring up, to be fair, because there's a spring on the printed circuit board. There we go. Just needs a bit of help. So I was half expecting battery leakage on it, but something weird going on there. And a little bit of a jiggle to get the whole thing out, and that is out. So the switch actually has nothing in it. It is literally just the contacts itself. I did wonder that. Whether it was just the contacts themselves that actually make it work. No actual capacitor leakage I can see. means nothing, of course, ultimately. I mean, there's a lot of tantalum caps. In fact, I don't think there's only that one electrolytic, I think. Everything else is tantalum, which is really, I mean, it's so well made. Really is well made. Okay, I mean, the belt is much better on this one, but it's still not perfect. I think we might be looking at a semiconductor issue with this one, but I could be wrong. And I noticed this has actually got red paint on there, fixing, I think that's the motor speed. But yeah, I think it probably is either that or that one. Need to look at the schematic. But yeah, okay, well, I think I will respring that switch. Do I dare take this out? Have a look. Yes. Knowing it's going to drop apart. Oh, I can hear it. It's so sprung. Ah. There are little springs behind. So these are missing. One of them went flying and was all mangled. But, right. So we're missing these springs. So I'm guessing they sit like that. So with the ridge, this is really difficult to see, isn't it? Just bear with me. So there's the spring, and they look as if they sit like that, but it really is, I mean, taking this apart, it's just dicey with bits flying everywhere, and not the easiest thing to get back together either. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of fun, but yeah, it should be okay, I think. We'll give it a go. Okay, so we're looking pretty good with this now. I don't know what we're like with Flutter and all the rest of it, but I'm just intrigued what switch tells it. It's that one. So that switch there gives the warning signal. Catching the flywheel with my finger. So let's put this cassette in. Let's put the back on. For use aboard aircraft in flight, use only manufacturer's identical replacement parts and don't modify the circuitry. Okay. Okay. So I've got to put, I'm just a bit concerned about that print there. Locating tabs there, top, push it down. There we go. I've got a spring there. Has that popped out? Do I need to do I need to take that switch apart to make sure that I do, don't I? I'm gonna have to. Oh. No, it's fine. So that must be the original spring, and that one's sprung. That must be the bit of metal I was looking for, because one of them's missing. Oh, I couldn't not check. Especially, you know, it's for someone else. If this is just something I was playing with, I'd take the risk. It'd probably be fine, but I wouldn't be convinced that it was going to be reliable. I mean, that's the thing with YouTube, isn't it? You know, you can edit out these things. Oh, look, it's working absolutely fine. It's just like, yeah, but as soon as you turn the camera off, it's broken because you've missed a spring. So you can't say, I don't show everything and all the trials and tribulations of doing this stuff. So I think that's somewhere near where it was. Yes. So we need volume control. See if I can get this together in sort of one go. I won't. But that stays there. This is, I don't know why this is such a fiddle on this particular board. The other one seems to go in much cleaner. That doesn't seem critical in which direction that goes, which way round it goes. Doesn't feel particularly nice. I wonder if it does actually go a specific way around. Let's turn it round. No, it still feels pretty poor, to be fair. I suppose I ought to put the batteries in and just check, because I think that switch is wrong at the moment. No, that's fine. Okay, so pull the batteries out again because I'm going to get the screw in. I'm going to have to clean up that contact as well because it's really bothering me. Make sure that bit of plastic's in the right place as this goes down. God, I almost feel like I know what I'm doing with this now. So that bit of metal. So that must have been the stray bit that went flying. Like I say, I know one is missing out of that switch. Obviously somebody had worked on that other one, on this one rather. Messed up the switch. I don't know whether that is why it was wiping the cassettes when I was rewinding, because I believe you can do that on this. I don't know. Or whether that's just a fault with it. But we shall see. We shall do lots of testing. So well, I've still got a problem there, haven't I? What's going on there? Oh. I seem to have got rid of the flutter. There we go. Oh, that actually feels really nice now. It just needs that spacer of from the case. Okay, so 1 2 1 2 testing testing 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2 testing testing 1 2 1 2.
Well, that seems okay. I mean, it's never going to be brilliant because it's not really the idea of it. So yeah, I think we'll just have a look at these other cassettes quick. Oh, I've done it. Okay, so let's lift the cassette out, put this one in. The right way round does help. It's actually a really good system. I don't know if there's anything on these. Okay, so I've done some recording, and I thought afterwards I could have actually used the record in, the line in, although it wouldn't have been matched probably very well, but I didn't think of that, and this is how I did it. So yeah, it worked. One thing I'm definitely sure of now is that these cassettes themselves are actually causing problems. I don't know how easy they are to take apart, because they look to be pressed closed, or maybe clipped. Looks like they're clipped, so I might take one apart, just out of interest, just to see how bad this mechanism is. But it seems to be, I was blaming the deck, and it's not, it's the cassette, because with George's cassette I'm getting completely different record and playback issues compared to this cassette. This cassette seems a lot better, but this is jamming sometimes, I think. Looks like, anyway. And yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it causes quite a bit of back tension as well when it's doing that, so it will do, although it's not enough to cause any damage to the tape, it seems. But yeah, anyway, we want to go back. So obviously this is compounding the problem in a way, because it was jamming when it was being recorded, and it's occasionally jamming when it's playing back as well. So it's just like both ways, it's not very good. Okay, so the headphone socket itself is just a 3-pin socket, and basically the center pin is the output. And then the outer pin, one of the outer pins is ground, and the other one is the switch. So it switches the speaker off when you push it in. So what I've done is I decided I was going to make the two outer pins ground, center pin is the signal, so it doesn't matter which way round you put it in there. It doesn't need to be keyed or anything. I actually found out that the pins are exactly the same as the test pins on Sony Betamax boards. So I've liberated 3 test point pins off a board, and found the pitch of the pins is exactly the same as some Vero board that I've got. So I've trimmed off sort of 3 holes worth of Vero board, soldered the pins into that, and George actually supplied a really good quality lead, and that really helped that it was a good quality lead. Yeah, you can see just how good that is. So yeah, I think we are getting somewhere near. You can see that I actually put some heat shrink on the the common ground, which is the outer 2 pins. So it doesn't matter which way round you put this connector, it will work, and it will also turn off the speaker outputs. I actually used hot glue to sort of make the moulding, and I just used greaseproof paper and sort of folded it into like a U, if you like, a channel for this to sit in, and then just filled it with hot glue and guided it until it cooled down, and it's actually really good. It's really strong, to be fair, which is great, and didn't melt the cables. It's a high quality cable, so yeah, it was absolutely fine. So what I'll do now is I'll put some heat shrink around this, and yeah, well, this should be good to go, and just straighten those pins a bit more as well. But yeah, really pleased how this has come out. It looks a bit of a mess, I know, but it will do the trick, and that's the main thing. It needs to be robust and as reliable as possible. So, and I think I've achieved that. So yeah, let's crack on. But anyway, let's try this lead, see if it does work. I'm a bit worried I might need longer pins. Oh, that's connected. And just using my video capture box, but just to capture the audio, I think I can do this. It looks like I've got stereo, but I haven't. It's just both of these are wired to the mono outputs. It just means basically that should be okay with some modern hi-fi equipment and whatever, or just hi-fi equipment or whatever you're capturing on. It's got both connectors, so yeah, they're identical. So yeah, let's see what it's like. Well, that's it. I mean, the output's not that loud, but it's there. I don't really expect it to be very loud because of what it's driving. Although, having said that, I mean, I've got the volume up full. But you just hear it's not right. Like I say, I'm blaming the cassettes. That's actually fairly good. All things considered. I mean, at the end of the day, these are probably just going to have voice recordings on. They're not designed for music. Oh, I think that's done something. Oh, that's actually come undone. So that's the way to do it. Use a pick. Just get it started, and then just flick the tabs as you go around. So it's pushing that in. Yeah, it's just lift it up, and then same this side. So put the pick in the middle at the back here, and just about get it in. God, it sounds awful. Now, it looks like it's being held in the middle as well somehow. No. There's a gear there. Seems alright. Take. Oh. And there's nothing there at all on this side. That's just the label. On the other side of the plastic you're seeing there, this gear seems fine. I'm going to stop this. There we go. You can hear it like creaking as it goes along. I'm always tempted just to take this gear off and put it back together. So this isn't in use. That's jammed. It's free again. Actually seems alright now I'm doing that. Let's put a tiny bit of silicone on this swab. Just put a little bit on here. See if that helps it at all. It's actually quite interesting. The gap gets smaller as it goes along. It's quite cool. I mean, it's. I know I'm a bit of a fan of Grundig stuff, but honestly, the engineering is so good. You know, it's so impressive. I just like Grundig engineering. Yeah, it's like the V2000 machines are just really cool. Can be a real pain to work on sometimes, but so I should be able to hopefully. And what I probably should have done is wind the tape. Oh, that's in the wrong place, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't think of that, did I? Should have got this back into the right. Yeah, should have rewound it before I put it together. I took it apart even. Something. Yeah, it's a spring. Must be what fixes the tape. There's a little brass roller there as well. Which, I don't know whether that's moving. Yeah, so that's fine. And put that on there. Oh, pull the spool off. And then that gear goes on there. And the other gear, of course, is on the top. Pull that as tight as I can. Oh, I managed to do it without damaging the cassette. The tape, I mean. Okay, so let's open this. Pull out the cassette. Put this one in. So it does slow down the tape slightly when there's no audio. When it picks up audio, it slows it down so you can hear it a bit better. So it thinks there's audio there, but it's just a little bit of tape noise. It's probably from when it's been wiped. In the reverse, it just thinks it's empty. It is cool. Okay, so I press record. The record light comes on. 1 2 1 2 testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. And then let's do some music the same way as I did before. Right, I'll leave that record for a bit. Okay, so some developments. I still wasn't happy with the amount of flutter and wow and all sorts of weird things that was going on with this unit. And I was remembering, and I had forgotten this, tapes are actually playing okay in this, so I'm blaming the cassettes, and okay, there is probably a slight amount of truth in that, but it's got to be the mechanism. So I've taken my one apart. It's a bit tricky to do. The two screws, as you can see the holes there for, those are the screws, both the same length, and basically the deck just drops out. But it is a bit tricky because the motor is mounted on these little bits of rubber, and I got them off, but I don't know how I'm going to get them back on, because you can see there how they do actually fit. I think there's a better way of putting this motor back in, or joining the two together, but yeah, we'll have to see on that. But looking at the mechanism, I've taken the circlip off from the top of the capstan. You see it's got two gears there. Now in play, that top gear literally goes into a gear on the top of the deck and drives the spool, the take-up spool, and that's literally it. It's so simple. And then the wind and rewinder dealt with via the switch here. So all of this does nothing for playback, so that won't be affecting anything. But when I took it apart, you can see there's quite a big gaping hole there relative to this. It's actually really cool. There's a bearing, and that bearing just fell out. And this one's perfect, and I'm betting the one in here isn't. So I'm going to take this apart and have a look. You can take the front off. It's very, very easy to take the front off. I don't even know what I've done with it. No, there it is. So there's the front. It's got a little spring on it. Literally just open it and then use a pick and just run it down the side, and it very easily just comes loose and you can pull it off. So that's really cool actually. It's very, very easy to do without breaking anything. So yeah, I think I shall just move this all out of the way. You've got to take that pause switch, or lock. It's not a pause switch, it locks this button so it doesn't accidentally get triggered like that one didn't, the post here, because it had batteries left in it as well. So yeah, let's take this apart. So let's get the cassette out first. You can see there the two screws, so there's one down here and one here. So we'll undo those and we can take it out, but first of all we've got to take the back off again, yet again. Let's take out the connector. Okay, so let's close this back up. Pull the batteries out. Then I'm getting quite good at this now. This is how you learn, isn't it? It's just like not giving up and just making sure you get it as good as you can. I mean, by the end of this, I'll be probably one of the few people left that can work on these relatively competently to go over the top on the competency. Okay, so we don't have to do anything, do we? We have to take this off here. It's a bit of trim. It's amazing how things just show up, because I'm sure that it didn't have that before on the other one. Then I'm going to try not to disturb the switches doing this, so I can just drop it back on. I shouldn't need to disturb the switches. There we go. Just move that one out of the way. Take the belt off. And the thing I have with this is just how bad it's going to be getting to everything. See, that does really feel good. Let's play. Yeah, when I put it in play, comparing it to the other one, that is a lot stiffer. So if I put that there, I know this hasn't got the bearing in it now. Look at that. And that is driving the spool. Look at that. This has got such good run on, whereas this one hasn't. And yet the bearing's fine. So I have got something wrong with that gear. Now, what do I do? Do I attempt to take this apart? Go back to this and just see what's involved with this motor, because there's a rubber mount at the bottom, and if I can work out how that works, well, it just rests in a hole. Why was that so difficult? So you just have to break the seal. Yeah, I suppose there's that bit of plastic there, isn't there, that's holding it. But you just have to break the seal on this, because there seems to be a little bit of something going on there. And then just put it back and... Okay, so I'm going to take the front off just because it's easy. This makes life a bit easier because you can get to everything. And this is very easy to do. So just get a plectrum in there. I'll do it on this side actually. There we go. Later deck. It's got a plastic spring, if you want to call it a spring. It's plastic. Okay. So let's turn this over. Take 2 screws out. Like I say, we know that bearing's good anyway, so run on is perfect. Then this should lift up. And then try that plectrum. Just trying to get it out of its little hole, basically. And this little mount, let's get this out. You just got to pull the plastic out a little bit, so there's a little stopper to stop it falling out. So this looks to be an adjustment for the amount of pressure, I think it is. Oh, it's just the height of the pinch roller. That's interesting. But at the moment, that seems to be what's causing me grief. Because there's a bit of plastic and it's caught on it. Oh, I've lost the rubber. There's the rubber. And that's why it seems to want to need. Oh, there we go. It's just caught there. Okay. Well, let's come off anyway. Or maybe you just press it in then. Let's put that back on there. Lift the motor out of the way. And find out what's going on here. So you can see how play is engaged. So that's pressing. So yeah, so that's the height of the pinch roller there. We've got a plate across here, so we put it into play. We can do that without breaking anything. Oh, it already is in play, so that's play. Yeah, so the clutch is okay. Well, that seems fine. Seems fine now it's out. So is there something fouling it or something? Some springs there. Huh. Does seem absolutely fine. Okay, well what I'll do, I think, clean off some of this old grease, put some new grease on, can actually give, wow, I mean the pinch roller is actually really good. I did give it a fairly good clean. The head looks pretty clean, which is cool. But yeah, just sort of clean off some of this grease. So wind and rewind are fine, so I'm not really worried about any of this drivetrain because this is all to do with wind and rewind. It's literally playback. Just put it in play position. There's a bit of grease there. Yeah, I was wondering if the clutch was bad, but doesn't seem terrible. That's fine. Let's compare it to the other deck. The clutch is actually stiffer on the other deck. Interesting. And they've got the switch there, which is there underneath. So that's telling it when there's a cassette in there. I might give that a clean. Quite what this is. It's one of those things you almost don't want to poke about too much because you just know that you're going to get caught out. And then you're going to be in all sorts of trouble. That roller there is just literally for this here, so we'll grease that up, clean that up. Yeah, that all feels fine, even though, like I say, it's not used for playback. Yeah, I was starting to wonder if it was maybe bad bearing here, but no, it's absolutely fine. I mean, I might put just a tiny bit of grease there anyway. The only other thing I can think of is I wonder if it's fouling on the front here somehow, but I can't quite see that, to be honest. Okay, well, I'll give it a grease. I won't bother showing that. I'm essentially going to get some silicone grease and just get it put around here with this screwdriver, and also around here just to help with stuff. You can see there, grease. Let's get that grease out. Anything I can think of is maybe that new belt is not quite good enough, and I suppose I could try the old belt out of the other one, even though that is not the greatest. Yeah, anyway, I'll grease it and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I've put it back together. I didn't bother showing it, but I have used a different belt as well. I just wonder if this belt is just too thin. I mean, if you compare the two belts, that's the one off the other deck. That's the one I got from DeckTech, which is just a generic belt, but it was the closest one I could find. But of course, I was thinking, because I was learning about these, I don't know why, but I thought that there was some sort of break, because it was the way it was floating about, and it was fouling the belt, but it's actually absolutely fine. You can see there's a tiny bit of slack there, but that's fine. But it isn't, of course. It's just that bit of trim for the switch. I also had a problem with the volume control. It was sort of sticking in the full on position, and I just couldn't work out why it was sticking. If I lifted the panel, it was fine, and what it turned out to be was this contact here. I must have caught it or something, and I just bent it slightly up, and it was just catching on the actual volume control, the slider. The other thing as well, this dropped out, and it's the other bit of spring, and it's folded over, but I now have both springs, so I should be able to get the one I bought working for what it's worth. So yeah, that's cool. So I think we will put this back together. Let's do the, well, put the back on, and that clips in at the top. Yeah, I will show putting one of these back together, but I'm not going to show it in this video because this video is probably so long now. And the other thing as well is I will be doing the other one, so I can show that in more detail, putting it back together. One thing I did notice though, trying to put this back in, the reason I'm struggling to get this back in is the index switch, and it actually sort of tries to come in and fouls the board. So just pushing that back out, pushing the board in, making sure the record switch is properly aligned with the little red post that comes out of here, and then the other switch down here is properly aligned into the motor. I think this is the motor switch. Then you're all good to go. So let's put that back on. Now the problem I have is I don't actually have a good cassette, because all the cassettes I have were recorded with it with dodgy whatevers. But let's put this in anyway, these batteries, and we'll try a cassette, and then I'll do some recording, play it back and see if it's any better. I'm 50-50 whether it's going to be. Oh, I've got to put the front on. Wrong front. This is the tidy one. It's interesting actually the difference between the older one and the newer one. Like I say, there's a plastic spring as well on the newer one, but plastic grill as well. So yeah, quite interesting. I'm not sure that's working properly. Oh, it is. It's just so light touch. This was really an effort before. Okay, well, let's put... I can't remember which cassette it was. I think it was that one. Well, we'll find out. I want to use the one that I've fixed. Right, so... Well, that seems no better, to be honest. Worse, if anything. Okay, so let's turn that off. I mean, I will say, judging by the speed of the spool, that's looking a lot more steady. Okay, so let's have a look. I wonder if maybe I've just got a weak motor. Because it just seems really strange that I can stop it. Just listening to it when the actual drive stops, I can't hear any motor rotations. It's not like the belt is slipping, because I was a bit worried that maybe that belt was a bit on the large side. And the thing is, how long has this been left without being used? You know, the motor itself is starting to fail. Okay, so just help if I put batteries in. Yeah, it stops the motor. I mean, the other thing is the batteries could be going flat now because I've used these batteries a lot. Just to see the difference between that and this belt. I do think this belt is just too thin. Oh. Well, it's gone completely wrong, hasn't it? Oh, that's much better. Okay, so that is the belt to go for. Oh, that's so much better. Right. Okay. That sort of answers that one. So it needs to be that fine belt. So obviously the thicker belt, I haven't got anything in between, you see. I haven't got anything that's the, what was it, 0.6 mil? 0.65, I think that's 0.5, isn't it? Okay, so let's put this back together. So I'll just clean that battery contact up. It's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better. I just wonder if I can get that last little bit off there, actually. Super, okay. Oh, it's so much better. Bit of a noisy cassette. So I will put a link to this belt. Like I say, it's not perfect, but it seems to do the job. Using just a bog standard belt that you get in these kits is not going to work. Okay, so let's do a test recording. Well, I think that's it. We have got there. I'm still not terribly happy with it. It's just so wowy and fluttery and all over the place. I mean, it's really certainly not any good for music, that's for sure. Yeah, the other one does seem to run better than this one, even though this one seems to be maybe the slightly better deck. Sort of looking at how well it's lasted over the years, but yeah, it's just really weird that it is just so fluttery. Maybe there is a problem with the motor. I don't know. That belt seems to be fine, but I will do another video covering these decks when we get this one going with the same DeckTech belt. Yeah, so we'll see. But this one, just even with the original belt, it wasn't playing very well, whereas at least the other one was playing okay. Yeah, there we have it. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Certainly been a bit of a learning experience, and I know there's lots of bits I got wrong on the journey through working out how this works and servicing it. I now feel I know them fairly well after all that work, and like I say, we'll have a go at that one, and hopefully it will go a lot smoother. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. It'd be great if you'd like and subscribe as well. It really does mean so much to me. Really appreciate it as well, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.